In a world teeming with mana and monstrous beasts, where the brave and the reckless alike donned armor to delve into perilous dungeons, lived Elias Vane. A young man with messy dark brown hair, sharp blue eyes, and a lean build, Elias was an anomaly, a consistently E-rank hunter ridiculed for his perceived weakness and lack of talent. Despite his constant efforts, he remained at the bottom, frequently subjected to the scorn of his peers. He yearned for recognition, for a chance to prove his worth, but fate seemed to conspire against him, chaining him to a destiny of mediocrity. Yet, deep within him, a hidden power stirred, unknown even to Elias himself, waiting for the spark that would ignite its true potential. Elias Vane, still a young man with messy dark brown hair, sharp blue eyes, and a lean build, found himself on another routine dungeon expedition. This time he was with a party he barely trusted. Gareth, a burly, bald warrior with a scarred face wielding a heavy axe, and Lyra, a sly-looking mage with fiery red hair and a staff topped with a glowing crystal. They were clearing a low-level dungeon, the Whispering Labyrinth, a place usually reserved for novices. Elias, clad in practical dark leather hunter's attire, diligently followed orders, his movements precise but uninspired, reflecting his perceived lack of talent. The atmosphere was typical, filled with the usual banter and occasional grumbles, masking the dark intentions brewing beneath the surface of their facade. Deep within the labyrinth, the party encountered a sudden surge of monsters, far more than anticipated. As Elias Vane, the young man with messy dark brown hair, sharp blue eyes, and a lean build, fought valiantly but struggled to keep up, Gareth, the burly, bald warrior with a scarred face, and Lyra, the sly-looking mage with fiery red hair, exchanged a subtle, knowing glance. Without warning, Lyra cast a potent binding spell not on the monsters, but directly at Elias. He was stunned, his practical dark leather hunter's attire suddenly feeling like a cage. Gareth then moved, striking a critical support pillar, initiating a rapid cave-in. As rocks crashed down, sealing their escape, the two traitors turned their backs, leaving a shocked and helpless Elias Vane to face oblivion, his cries echoing in the rapidly collapsing tunnel. The ground beneath Elias Vane, the young man with messy dark brown hair, sharp blue eyes, and a lean build, gave way completely. Instead of being crushed, he plummeted into a dark, bottomless abyss, the sounds of the collapsing dungeon fading above him. He fell for what felt like an eternity, his mind reeling from the betrayal, his body battered by the impact against jagged rocks and ancient debris. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of forgotten earth and dormant magic. Just as he thought his end was certain, he crashed onto a soft, fungal bed at the bottom of a vast, hidden cavern. The impact knocked him unconscious, leaving his body, clad in practical dark leather hunter's attire, still and broken in the chilling darkness. Hours later, Elias Vane, the young man with messy dark brown hair, sharp blue eyes, and a lean build, stirred. His body ached, but a strange energy coursed through his veins. He looked around, his vision slowly adjusting to the dim, ethereal glow of the cavern. In the center, pulsating with a dark, rhythmic light, lay an ancient artifact, a crystalline heart, black as obsidian, surrounded by intricate runes. This was the heart of the Obsidian Lord, a relic of a legendary dark sorcerer, long thought lost to history. As Elias, clad in practical dark leather hunter's attire, reached out, drawn by an irresistible force, the heart pulsed violently, its energy resonating with the dormant power within him. He felt a profound shift and awakening. As Elias Vane, the young man with messy dark brown hair, sharp blue eyes, and a lean build, touched the heart of the Obsidian Lord, a torrent of dark energy surged into him. His body convulsed, and shadows erupted from his form, swirling violently around the cavern. He screamed not in pain, but from the sheer overwhelming force of the power that had suddenly been thrust upon him. Shadows writhed and solidified, mirroring the shapes of nearby stalagmites, then dissolving into a mist. This was the awakening of his inherent shadow mimicry, now amplified and refined by the ancient relic. Elias, clad in practical dark leather hunter's attire, felt a connection to the very fabric of darkness, a newfound mastery over the unseen. This raw, untamed power pulsed within him, demanding to be unleashed. With the Obsidian Lord's power now flowing through him, Elias Vane, the young man with messy dark brown hair, sharp blue eyes, and a lean build, rose, his practical dark leather hunter's attire now seeming to absorb the ambient darkness. He was no longer the weak E-rank hunter. He was something new, something dangerous. Using his enhanced shadow mimicry, he willed the shadows to coalesce, forming shadowy tendrils that effortlessly cleaved through the ancient rock, carving a path upwards. He navigated the treacherous ascent with an unnatural agility, his shadows acting as extensions of his will, grabbing ledges and dispelling obstacles. The cavern, once his tomb, now served as his crucible, and he emerged from its depths not as a survivor, but as a predator, reborn from the darkness. Elias Vane, the young man with messy dark brown hair, sharp blue eyes, and a lean build, finally broke free from the dungeon, emerging into the crisp night air covered in dust and grime. But it was not exhaustion that filled his eyes, it was a cold, unwavering resolve. The betrayal by Gareth and Lyra, orchestrated by the higher-ranking hunter Commander Kalen, now fueled a burning desire for retribution within his heart. His practical dark leather hunter's attire was torn, but his spirit was forged anew. He would not simply survive, he would rise. He swore an oath under the pale moonlight. He would make those who wronged him pay, and he would uncover the truth behind the Obsidian Lord's power and the conspiracy that had led to his demise. His transformation was complete, and his vengeance would be absolute. Now operating from the shadows, Elias Vane, the young man with messy dark brown hair, sharp blue eyes, and a lean build, began his quiet investigation into Commander Kalen. Kalen, a charismatic and imposing man with meticulously styled golden hair, a muscular physique, and cold, calculating gray eyes, was a revered figure in the hunter community, making Elias' task difficult. Elias, clad in practical dark leather hunter's attire, spent weeks observing, gathering scraps of information, and piecing together Kalen's movements and associates. He discovered peculiar transactions, hushed meetings with unsavory figures, and a suspicious interest in ancient artifacts and forgotten lore, hinting at a darker purpose beneath Kalen's polished exterior. The puzzle pieces began to connect, revealing a sinister tapestry. Sala, utilizing her limited access to the internet, began to research the details of Lee Jinwoo's murder case. The official reports were sparse, attributing his death to a random street robbery gone wrong. But Sala, equipped with Jinwoo's memories, knew better. She scoured online forums, obscure news archives, and even dark web chatter for any discrepancies or forgotten leads. She looked for mentions of Chairman Kang Minjun, a man in his late 50s with silvering temples and a powerful presence near the time of the murder, or any associates. The task was painstaking and risky, as any unusual activity could attract unwanted attention from the very people she was investigating. Among the online articles, a name resurfaced: Detective Choi Yoonji, a sharp, pragmatic female detective in her mid-30s, with short, practical brown hair and intelligent eyes. Choi Yoonji had been Jinwoo's partner and friend, and she had never accepted the official explanation for his death. The articles detailed her relentless, albeit often stonewalled, efforts to reopen the case. Learning that Choi Yoonji was still fighting for justice ignited a flicker of hope within Sala. She wasn't entirely alone. There was someone, a fellow truth-seeker, who might believe her, or at least be receptive to new information if she could find a way to convey it safely. Sala knew she couldn't directly approach Detective Choi Yoonji, a sharp, pragmatic female detective in her mid-30s. The risk of exposing herself, or worse, putting Choi Yoonji in danger, was too high. Instead, she devised a subtle plan. She anonymously leaked a small, almost innocuous piece of information related to the case through a public forum that Choi Yoonji was known to monitor. It was a coded message, a breadcrumb trail that only Jinwoo's former partner would recognize as significant. Sala hoped that it would pique Choi Yoonji's interest and remind her that the case was still alive, subtly nudging her back towards the truth she had sought. Within the opulent walls of Chairman Kang Minjun's mansion, Sala began to pick up on fragments of suspicious conversations. Chairman Kang Minjun, a man in his late 50s with silvering temples, sharp, calculating dark eyes, was often on the phone, his voice low and urgent, discussing shipments and assets that sounded far from legitimate business. Once she overheard him angrily berating Mr. Kim, a burly man in his 40s with a stern, expressionless face and short-cropped black hair, about a problematic package. These hushed words, combined with Jinwoo's memories, painted a chilling picture of an ongoing criminal enterprise, confirming her worst fears about his true nature. During a rare opportunity when Chairman Kang Minjun was away from the mansion, Sala ventured into his private study. Her heart pounded as she systematically searched, remembering Jinwoo's training and finding hidden compartments. Behind a loose panel in his antique desk, she discovered a locked safe. Using a combination Jinwoo vaguely remembered from an old case file, a sequence of numbers from a defunct corporation linked to Kang, she managed to open it. Inside lay a trove of illicit documents, ledgers detailing illegal transactions, and encrypted hard drives. This was it, the undeniable proof she needed to bring down the powerful Chairman Kang Minjun. The documents were worse than she could have imagined. They detailed not only the human trafficking ring, but also a shadowy organization involved in organ harvesting. Lee Jinwoo's blood ran cold in Sala's veins as she recognized names of missing persons from his old case files, now listed as donors or goods. A chilling photograph of a young girl whose disappearance Jinwoo had investigated years ago was stapled to one of the ledgers. The sheer depravity of Chairman Kang Minjun, a man in his late 50s with silvering temples and sharp, calculating dark eyes, solidified her resolve. This wasn't just revenge, it was about stopping a monstrous evil. This evidence was irrefutable. With the overwhelming evidence in hand, Sala's priority shifted from mere discovery to meticulous documentation. She knew that any error could compromise everything. Using a small, disguised camera she purchased online, she carefully photographed every page of the ledgers and documents, ensuring high-resolution copies. She meticulously transferred the data from the encrypted hard drives to a secure, untraceable cloud server. This painstaking process, performed late into the night while the mansion slept, was physically draining for Sala, a frail young woman in her early 20s. Yet, Jinwoo's unyielding determination propelled her forward, fueled by the faces of the victims in those horrifying files. The next step involved getting the evidence out safely. Sala needed to access Chairman Kang Minjun's secure server room to plant a tracking device, hoping to trace his digital footprints back to the broader organization. One night, disguised as a cleaning staff member, she slipped through the mansion's intricate security, her heart hammering in her chest. A fleeting shadow, a suspicious creak, and she nearly triggered an alarm. She saw Mr. Kim, a burly man in his 40s with a stern, expressionless face and short-cropped black hair, patrolling nearby. Sala, a frail young woman in her early 20s, froze, barely avoiding detection by hiding in a utility closet, the cold fear a stark reminder of the stakes. A vivid flashback surged through Sala's mind, a memory of Lee Jinwoo, a sharp, determined detective in his late 20s, on an old case involving a similar corporate network. He had meticulously tracked a shell company for months, only to have the trail go cold just before his murder. Now seeing the scope of Chairman Kang Minjun's operation, a man in his late 50s with silvering temples and a powerful presence, Sala realized Jinwoo had been far closer than he ever knew. The connections were undeniable, the patterns identical. This newfound perspective in Sala's frail body confirmed the terrifying scale of the conspiracy and the reason for Jinwoo's tragic end. Mr. Kim, a burly man in his 40s, with a stern, expressionless face and short-cropped black hair, Chairman Kang's head of security, was a constant, unsettling presence. His eyes, though often seemingly vacant, missed nothing. Sala, a frail young woman in her early 20s, with long, straight black hair often tied back and large, observant dark eyes, felt his gaze on her more often than before, a subtle shift that indicated her increased activity might be noticed. He wasn't overtly hostile, but the cold, watchful intensity in his eyes sent shivers down her spine. He was the silent enforcer, the shadow that protected Chairman Kang Minjun, a man in his late 50s with silvering temples and a powerful presence. To test the waters, Sala decided to engineer a small, controlled leak. She subtly altered a minor financial report, creating a discrepancy that, while not immediately damaging, would be noticeable to someone as meticulous as Chairman Kang Minjun, a man in his late 50s with silvering temples and sharp, calculating dark eyes. She wanted to observe his reaction, to gauge his paranoia and the speed of his response. If he reacted harshly to a trivial matter, it would confirm his underlying fear of exposure. Sala, a frail young woman in her early 20s, watched from a distance, her heart pounding as the report made its way to the chairman's desk. Chairman Kang Minjun's reaction was swift and furious. Chairman Kang Minjun, a man in his late 50s with silvering temples, sharp, calculating dark eyes, and an expensive, tailored suit, raged at his staff, demanding to know who was responsible for the negligence. His paranoia was palpable, confirming Sala's suspicions. He suspected a mole, someone trying to undermine him from within. The incident, though minor, caused a ripple of fear through the mansion, and security measures were noticeably tightened. Sala, a frail young woman in her early 20s with large, observant dark eyes, had confirmed her target's vulnerability. He was indeed terrified of exposure. Emboldened by her small victory, Sala decided to go for a more direct approach. During a meticulously planned evening, she managed to gain brief, unsupervised access to Chairman Kang Minjun's private computer in his study. Chairman Kang Minjun, a man in his late 50s with silvering temples and sharp, calculating dark eyes, was at a business dinner. With swift, practiced movements, Sala, a frail young woman in her early 20s with long, straight black hair often tied back, installed a sophisticated keylogger and data mirroring software. She now had real-time access to his communications and his digital life, a golden key to unlock the remaining secrets of his dark empire. The data stream was overwhelming, painting a horrifying tapestry of Chairman Kang Minjun's crimes. Beyond human trafficking and organ harvesting, he was involved in political assassinations, manipulating elections, and orchestrating smear campaigns against anyone who dared to oppose him. It was a vast, international criminal network, protected by layers of corruption and fear. Sala, a frail young woman in her early 20s, now truly understood the power he wielded and the immense danger she was in. This wasn't just a man, it was an institution of evil. The full scale of his depravity was a crushing weight, but also a final, unyielding motivation for justice. Armed with irrefutable proof, Sala began to formulate a plan for exposure. She considered leaking everything anonymously to the press, but the sheer scale of Chairman Kang Minjun's influence meant such a leak could be buried or twisted. Worse, it could put countless innocent lives at risk, including hers. Chairman Kang Minjun, a man in his late 50s with silvering temples and a powerful presence, had eyes and ears everywhere. Sala realized she needed to be strategic to hit him where it hurt the most, not just his reputation, but his entire criminal infrastructure. The goal wasn't just to expose him, but to utterly dismantle his empire. Sala's increasing boldness did not go unnoticed. One evening, Chairman Kang Minjun, a man in his late 50s with silvering temples and sharp, calculating dark eyes, confronted her directly in the mansion's lavish living room. His voice was calm, but his eyes were like chips of ice. He spoke of loyalty and family, subtly hinting at the consequences of betrayal. Sala, a frail young woman in her early 20s with long, straight black hair often tied back, pale skin, large, observant dark eyes, maintained her meek persona, but a cold dread gripped her. He knew, or at least he suspected. The game was escalating and she was now firmly in his crosshairs. Her heart pounded in terror. The direct confrontation with Chairman Kang Minjun reinforced the need for an ally, someone outside his immediate sphere of influence. Her thoughts turned to Detective Choi Yoonji, a sharp, pragmatic female detective in her mid-30s with short, practical brown hair and intelligent eyes. Choi Yoonji was incorruptible and fiercely dedicated. It was a huge risk, but Sala knew she couldn't bring down an empire alone. She had to trust someone, and Choi Yoonji was the only one who had the conviction and the drive to pursue justice, even against impossible odds. Sala began to devise a plan to safely deliver the crucial evidence, a plan that would protect both of them. Sala's plan involved a carefully orchestrated public appearance by Chairman Kang Minjun at a charity gala, where Detective Choi Yoonji, a sharp, pragmatic female detective in her mid-30s, was also present as security liaison. Amidst the chaos of the press and the crowd, Sala, a frail young woman in her early 20s, with long, straight black hair often tied back, pale skin, large, observant dark eyes, discreetly slipped a small, encrypted USB drive into Choi Yoonji's coat pocket. It contained all the evidence, meticulously organized and protected. Their eyes met for a fleeting moment, a silent acknowledgement, a passing of the torch. Choi Yoonji, sensing the urgency, quickly secured the device.